So, we're going to talk today about the nervous system and it's how it's like sabotage. We have just simple 3 points. So we're just going to get right into it. So number one, point one would be your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a deadline and you being chased by a lion. Okay. And so what we end up noticing is that when we're stressed, when we're in this place of adrenaline, if you look at studies, what they've shown is the reason why it becomes destructive to even our bodies is because this adrenaline and this fight or flight is meant to get you away, right, from the danger. So what happens is we're in fight or flight, but we're in this resting. We're just breathing and just chill. Well, we're actually not releasing it from our bodies, right? That's why sometimes when I am in a high stress situation, I will just move around and I'll just go like this, and I'll just release it and jump up and down and that type of stuff. Or if I just feel, okay, that was a lot, I'll move my body. I'll go to the gym. I'm releasing what was released inside of my body. But the thing is, the flight or fight was designed for survival, not strategy, right? And so when you're building from that threat, your brain literally cannot access the creative, the prophetic, the executive function that you need. The hustle culture, that whole lie, especially as it was pertaining to women, has really destroyed our nervous system. It's destroyed even not acknowledging our hormonal aspects, right? And so if you are a woman or the man that supports your amazing woman, I want you to understand that this is a real thing. This is something that culture business has really put in. It's only really now that I'm seeing a lot of coaches and mentors, those that are thought leaders, influencers, actually speaking about building business, ministry, and those things from a different standpoint, right? And that different standpoint would be from the standpoint of a healthier place where you're not hustling and the feminine design for a woman. Okay. Now remember, feminine and masculine are neither male nor female. When I speak of them, male and female need both masculine and feminine. Okay. We need logic and the intuition, right? So just so you understand what that looks like, we need structure and we need the softness, we need strength, and the ability to feel and have the emotions behind those things. And so, I just sharing with you that when you're looking at neuroscience, it actually says the opposite. And that's what got me thinking, okay, I have to teach more of this aspect because it's not enough. It's just not enough to teach from one perspective and teach you strategies in business and building in ministry and your activation styles and everything and what that looks like. It's been a blessing. I've been known as, for many years now, by my students naming me, not me myself, but as the activator. My heart, my passion is to see you completely activated and walking in the fullness of what God has for you. And it was really hindering when I didn't understand that what the things that I studied when it's come to neuroscience and the body and hormones and all these different aspects and parasite cleanses and the food and the chemicals and toxins, and it goes on and on and on. Even the perfumes that we use, I stopped using perfumes. I create my own oils. I have my little jars and I create the oil. And that's my perfume, but I do it for health reasons. And so, I didn't realize that that was what was needed to be taught. And that's why, you're in this place and you feel accomplished and everything is great, but then at the same time, you don't feel fulfilled and your body is in burnout, right? And so that allows the chronic cortisol, like that stress hormone, right? And so what that does is to your design and making, your discernment and your body, it hinders it. It hinders it, right? I'm actually in the middle of, there's two books that I'm rotating, but The Contemplative Woman is going to be coming out. I just came out with Wired for Each Other, and you can find that at tanyajanika.com. But, when I was looking at everything, the Lord was downloading in my spirit the ways that prophets need to eat, or the way that prophetic people need to eat, and how certain things are not permissible. Certain ways that we operate are just not permissible. Because of the way that food is, the way that toxins are in the face creams and the chemicals and all that stuff. Listen, when I stopped even buying a lot of these cosmetic things, and careful of like not wearing makeup, but doing a what do they call it? Oh my goodness. Like just a tinted moisturizer, and finding out like where it's come from, and like even like the eyeshadows and some of the things that I use, they're made out of like a cocoa powder. Like you can actually like taste the cocoa in it. But again, it's been a process, right? This is why I built that community, the inner court, so you can actually get exposed to some of the things that many of the times we teach that are not actually helpful or sustaining, right? I deal with 6, 7, and 8-figure income earners that are burnt out. They're burnt out. They're trying to figure out what to do, how to operate, what that looks like. I promise you, I see it on a regular basis. And I have to work with them and simplify and so on and so forth. So, when you're looking at the self-sabotage in your nervous system and what that all looks like, I want you to identify that fight or flight, that sympathetic is making you feel all those jitters and all that stuff, and it's not healthy for you, right? You want to be in a parasympathetic, which is a very calm state, mellow state, where you feel relaxed and you feel safe. What I've noticed is that as individuals start healing and going through the process, and you start to feel safe, everything that you needed healing from starts popping up. And if you got to work through that, and that's why I have the inner court community, because what ends up happening is you can start thinking, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart or whichever. But what's happened is your body cannot heal and process and go through that, what we would call that deliverance and so on and so forth, in a chronic fight or flight state. It doesn't work that way. Like you need to be in a safe environment, safe place. I remember when I started the inner healing journey many, many years ago. I think it's been 10, 12 years ago. And I'd be in a grocery store and something would happen and I would start weeping. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why am I so emotional? But it's because I had just gotten finally to a place that I was able to just be in a place of peace and rest. And because of that, my body was like, yep, it's time to deal with that thing that you were pressing down and not wanting to share. And voila, that's where I'm at now, right? Because I went through the process. So there was a lot of healing that had to be done. Number 2, let's go on point 2. You were wired to build, but not like this, right? Not in a way that you are grinding and hustling, right? There's a God-designed rhythm for you in your nervous system, not a grind. And the difference between building from an activation and building from anxiety are two different things. Sometimes we actually don't even realize that the anxiety that we're feeling is a warning sign, because we're thinking it's not anxiety. We're thinking it's excitement or many other things. It's kind of like when you're dating and you think that all these butterflies and googlies and blah, blah, like all of that, and you're like, yes, he's the one, she's the one. And the Lord's like, yeah, no, that's actually a system that I put in you for fight or flight. That's like what I told you, like, get away. Like, this person is not for you. They're actually activating a warning within your body to say, no, I don't build it that way. I need their presence to feel like my presence. I need you to understand that that's what that looks like. That I'm rest, that your partner brings you into a place of rest and deepness with the Lord, and the quietness and the stillness of it. Not this like anxiety, when are they going to call? Are they going to be there? Like, no, it's this safety. And so again, we're taught that to like this is great. And the church has taught it even. And but yet we push away the neuroscience, and we push away all these things because we haven't bridged it, but we've yet passed it down. And we don't even realize what we're doing a lot of times, because it's like this passing down or regurgitation of what was taught to us. And so, why accomplished women feel the most scattered at the height of their success? Listen, it's because you've built your success off of the fight or flight. You've built it off of the grind, the hustle, the boss babe, whatever you want to call yourself. You've built it in a hyper masculine way without taking care of who you are, right? Your activation style, activation, Jesus, because I was trying to say something else or I was thinking something else. Anyway, your activation style determines how you were built to move, right? And the overriding it costs you. And what I mean by your activation style, so I teach, if you've been around me long enough, the whole thing with personality, or the assessments that we take, and what are they called? The Enneagram and a bunch of other ones, right? The human, what do they call them? The human design. That's actually a test and stuff like that. That is all witchcraft, right? There's some core truths to some aspects, but I asked the Lord, they were done through channeling and other things. And I'm like, okay, what can we do to really share these activation styles so individuals understand? And he showed me Ephesians 4, the apostle, prophet, pastor, evangelist, teacher. And then he showed me like the bishop and the deacon and the minister. Like, so I started realizing, I was like, oh my gosh, these are what we would call those personality types or whatever, but these are that. And I was like, this is sustainable. It's good. And as I started teaching it over the years, I've been in business ministry for over 20 years now. And when I started teaching it, I was like, okay, I thought I had to teach and shift to more of the hormones, more of the neuroscience, and start thing. But I started not speaking more about, how you're building in your business and ministry. But I realized that, even recently, how much I need to bring it together for you, so you really understand how they all work together. And so I'm actually just revealing my lifestyle behind the scenes. And I've never really done that. I've done that in my community and some other things, but I've never put it in my brand, so you actually understand the fullness of what that looks like. And so, again, point two, you were not meant to override how God created you, right? Male, female, we operate differently. Point three, the reset isn't this luxury and bubble bath and all of that, okay? It isn't like this idolized self-care. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. Please hear me when I say that. I love the bubble baths. I love the taking care and the oils and all that stuff. I love it, okay? I always say, I'm just a girl, so I really love it. But there's more to that. I'm not sitting there saying you need to take more time so you can have bubble baths. I'm not saying that you need to take more time so you can, pamper yourself. Yes, it's a great thing, but it's a rewiring of your neurological pathways, right? The regulation is not a rest, it's a strategy. right? There's 3 things you can do today to stop building from survival mode, and you can slow down, and you can start the process of inner healing, and understand and make the decision, right, that will allow your nervous system not to be hijacked. Okay. And so the invitation for you is that you don't need a new plan, right? You don't need a new marketing strategy. You don't need to create more reels. You don't need to do any of that. You just need to come back to yourself. And I was actually talking to one of my students the other day, and I was like, you need to give yourself permission. And that's really what it was. She hadn't given herself permission to do what she did. And or even to just get understanding and clarity. She'd never understood that. And so whenever you're going to kick against some things, because just because you're an entrepreneur or business owner doesn't mean you're a great leader per se. Okay. Nowadays we can just have us and make multiple 6 figures, and not even have a team. We have AI and planning and all this other stuff. And a lot of the things that would take us a longer time, or that we didn't understand how to do, we can get it done in no time with AI, right? And so when you're looking at that, I want you to take a thought of an invitation of giving yourself permission to slow down and to heal along the way. So when you reach that level of accomplishment in phases, whatever that looks like, that you're healthy and that you haven't lost life. I've seen so many lose their life, their quality of life. I've even seen it where with men in their hormone aspect, where they would have given their life to the work and the accomplishment and building and having to go, right? And then what ends up happening is their dopamine receptors are off. And they're in this fight or flight. They're in this testosterone, high levels of testosterone, and going through and moving. And then what ends up happening is they don't know how to connect when they get home. And so, they come home and then they're still kind of operating. And the only thing that kind of feels normal or safe is to still work. So they still take out their phone and they take out their laptop, and they're disconnecting from their family, from their wife, and then it affects their wife. And it's just like this big cycle, right? And so I want to encourage you, for the women, the men that support, I want you to understand what it looks like to operate in the offices, in the different places that God has you, your calling, your functions, your assignments, all of those things in a healthy way. And we don't always arrive, okay? I will share with you really quickly that I've even struggled. Even now, I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Like, I was gaining weight, and I was like, this is really weird. Like, I'm eating healthy, I'm working out all the time, because I really want to, and I love it. It's my release. It's my therapy. And I'm like, what is really happening? And so I don't know if you can tell, but like if you look at them, like this wrist is like a lot tinier than this one is like huge, and it goes down my arm and legs and stuff. And I'm like, what's happening? And so I realized that I needed to like drain lymphatically and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was deficient in some vitamins, so I had to like re-up. But then as I was doing lymphatic drainage, it wasn't working. And I'm like, what is really happening? And then I started, about a month or 2 ago, I started learning more about the fascia and about the release in the fascia. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what happens, right? It's restricting the flow and the release. And so I had to readjust. And so, yeah, the eating right, all that, but the environment mattered, just a lot of little things that added up to the big thing, right? The word of God talks about the little foxes spoil the vine. And so, but it's exciting, right? Because now as I go through and I'm learning and I'm getting results and I'm everything, I get to share that, right? In the inner court, I get to actually share what that looks like and the process. And it help individuals go through and get the successes that they need within their, business and ministry as well, and in their personal life. So when they arrive at those different levels of accomplishment, they've actually become more of themselves authentically and not less of themselves, right? And then here's the biggest thing: they know how to steward the attention that they get as a whole, okay, as an influencer, as they can steward what God has given them. And it starts off by stewarding your mind, your body, your time, and all those, and setting the boundaries in order for you to grow. A lot of times we accelerate, we grow, we expand and increase our territory. But the problem is as we grow, we don't change our regimens for health, for fitness, for family. We don't set new boundaries. We literally have the same boundaries and same systems and everything as we did when we were making our first 5,000 a month, right? That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Not even the same systems and operating everything work for when you are just starting a business, let alone when you're already, in a different state, and whatever level of accomplishment that you've done, right? So these are some of the things that we need to address when we're looking at self-sabotage. And a lot of times the worst parts is I never realized when I was self-sabotaging. I'll be honest with you. But what happened is I learned to have awareness in some areas. So that way, when things would happen, I'd have some barriers, or some reminders to be like, I know that my body does this when I'm at this place, or I know because I've seen this, I know where that comes from. That makes sense? All right. All right. Well, God bless. I will have my notes at the bottom of this live stream on Substack for you, so you can take a look at them and go through that process of some of the bullet points and things that I've made. You can also go to tanyatanika.com and you can go with the work with me, and you can come into the community as well as purchase books and other things there as well. So I look forward to working with you and our journey together. And make sure you share if this has blessed you. I know it has, and it will definitely help somebody else. God bless.